Buenas tardes todos. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on what time you're watching. Welcome to En Casa con la Plaza. This is our La Plaza de Cultura y Artes virtual programming, bringing to your home conversations, presentations, demonstrations, and performances during these pandemic times, trying to bring you some education, some entertainment, a little of this and a little of that. As you know, on Mondays, it's En Casa con la Plaza Cocina, our cooking demonstrations, recipe sharing, enjoying the best of our culture's cuisine. So to present to you our special guest, I'm gonna present to you Jimena, but before I do, if you're joining us on Zoom, please chat with us or click on, there you go, click on the Q&A. If you're on Facebook Live, you can comment, wave, or ask a question. Let us know where you're viewing from. Share on your Facebook page, start a watch party, make comments, ask questions, have fun, mostly. And here to have fun with us, we have Jimena Martin, our Director of Public Programs at Culinary Arts. Welcome, Jimena.
Thank you, Averaldo, for the introductions. We're so excited for today. The weather is going to get really hot this weekend. Saturday and Sunday is going to be in the 90s in LA. So why not celebrate with a margarita? After Maite does her show, I'll give you my my instant margarita here. But I'm so excited to have Maite Gomez-Rejon, who was a family friend, as a friend, who'll be presenting. Maite Gomez-Rejon, she's a founder of ArtBites. She presents art and culinary history through lectures, cooking and tastings in various museums across the country. BFA, University of Texas in Austin, MFA, Art Institute in Chicago. She has a Grand Diplôme from the French Culinary Institute in New York. She's presented on the Today Show, Food and Wine, KCRW's Good Food, and NPR's Splendid Table. She's also contributed to Life in Time, Eaton Magazine, and you can find her essay on Mexican early cookbooks as it appears in the Oxford Research Encyclopedia of Los Angeles History. So to kick off our late summer, midsummer with Margaritas y Palomas, le presento a Maite Gomez-Rejon. Hi, Maite.
Thank you, Jimena. Hi, thank you so much for having me. I always love doing these Monday afternoon programs. They're always so much fun. So thank you, and I'm so excited. Margaritas y Palomas. Like how terrible could this be? And it's just. I'm very excited to show you how to make two cocktails. Two are my favorite cocktails. The Margarita is actually the most popular cocktail in the US, as well as in Mexico, and the Paloma is a close second. But before I start making the cocktails, I wanted to share just a little history on spirits in Mexico, on alcoholic beverages in Mexico. And I have 3 bottles to share with you here. I have a bottle of mezcal, a bottle of sotol, and a bottle of tequila. So these are 3 of Mexico's, I would say, most well-known spirits. But they are the distant cousins, or I don't know, cousins or grandkids or whatever you want to call it, of pulque, which is really Mexico's first beverage. These are distilled, but pulque is a beverage that is fermented, and it's still produced today, mostly in central Mexico. All of these are produced by some type of agave plant. But going back even further, pre-conquest, the Aztecs had a fertility goddess named Mayahuet. She was, the personification of her was an agave plant, and she was a fertility goddess, goddess of nourishment, she was connected with maternity, and each one of these pencas, or the leaves of the agave that she's personified by, it's supposed to be 400 children. 400 to the Aztecs, 400 was, it didn't represent a literal 400, but it was the equivalent of infinity. So these 400 children were the 400 ways that one could be intoxicated. So pulque was a literal gift from the gods, and it's essentially it's almost like a fermented beer. It's like an agave beer. And it was considered a gift from the gods. And priests would drink would drink pulque before some sort of religious ceremony, sort of to become euphoric. Sacrificial victims were given some pulque just to kind of calm them down. And so it was treated, it was more of a ritual beverage. Drunkenness was frowned upon by the Aztecs. People were punished greatly for getting drunk, except for during the last 5 days of the year. So between the days 361 to 365, it was a free-for-all. Everybody could get drunk. It was okay because it was never guaranteed that the solar gods would grant another year. So you had those 5 days to go crazy and get drunk. Only on those 5 days. So it was considered it was a ritual. The elderly could get drunk anytime. They didn't have to wait till the last 5 days of the year. It was okay. So this was in pre-conquest Mexico. Come the conquest, and distillation techniques were introduced into Mexico. So, and pulque lost its religious significance entirely, but these distillation techniques were used for the same plants that were used to make pulque, essentially for these agave plants. And so essentially making a spirit. So when you talk about, a distilled spirit, it's bringing out the spirit of the plant. So in this case of the agave plant, whatever it is that you're making, whether it's whiskey or vodka or whatever it is, you're bringing out the spirit of the plant, the fruit, whatever it is that you're distilling. So the first distilled beverages we see in Mexico go all the way back to about 1535, which is when we see the first mezcal. And mezcal is typically made in the southern regions of Oaxaca. This is where we sort of see mezcal. It's known for that. Pulque is made from a different type of agave that's mostly around central Mexico. Again, it's a fermented beverage. It's more of a beer. It has low alcohol content, and it's a little bit slimy. It has these little foam, like little froth, and it's a little bit slimy. But mezcal was produced, and essentially they would take, it was produced in 1535. It's produced today exactly the same as it was produced in 1535. Essentially, remove the leaves of the agave, and when you remove that, you have something that looks like a pineapple, like a large pineapple, and it's literally called the piña, is the heart of the agave plant. So that pineapple is then baked, and the word mezcal comes from the Nahuatl word mezcali, which means oven-baked agave. So you bake the agave in a pit. So essentially, mezcal is the characteristic of mezcal is this smoky flavor. It's essentially an agave barbecue. It's smoked, in a pit, and then these piñas are crushed, and then that juice is fermented, and after it's fermented, it's distilled. So it goes through this process. Mezcal, sotol, tequila are made exactly the same way, except for mezcal is cooked. It's smoky because it's essentially a barbecue. Mezcal was known, all of these beverages were known as mezcal wine or mezcal brandy for centuries, actually until 1873. So this is over 300 years after the distillation process was introduced into Mexico. These were mezcal wines or mezcal brandy. So once we get to the late 19th century, a man named Don Zenobio Sausa of Tequila Sausa, he started bringing wines into the U.S. His wines, his Vino de Mezcal, won an award at the World's Fair in Chicago, and he said, you know what, I'm going to make all of my mezcal from the blue agave, which grows in the state of Jalisco. There's a city in that state named Tequila. And he created this origin of denomination for that particular plant. So now tequila is essentially a mezcal from Tequila, from the city of Tequila, made with the blue agave. So this is 1873, this is when we start seeing the difference in label between mezcal and tequila. It's made essentially the same way, but tequila could be found in three. So after the distillation process, it is actually, bottled right away, like within 60 days. If it's bottled, you have the blanco tequila, the white, tequila. If it is aged anywhere, from 60 days up to a year, it's referred to as reposado tequila, which is a little bit yellow. Reposado means rested, so essentially rest for up to a year. And then you have the añejo, which is aged. So this is resting between 1 and 4 years. And then you have the extra añejo, which I have a bottle of extra añejo right here, which basically looks like brandy. And it is a sipping tequila. It's not something that you would really consume in a margarita because it's very sweet. It's a sipping tequila. It's very fine. And this is extra añejo, so this is aged for over 4 years. But these are all made, with tequila. Different ways to make tequila. And both beverages are served, if you order a shot of mezcal, you get your little shot glass, your little caballito, and mezcal is typically served with orange slices that have, you can't really see it right now, but it has worm sal de gusano. So it's this little worm, the larvae that lives inside of the agave plant that just spends all of its time eating the agave nectar, this aguamiel that's in the plant. And it's just this sort of sweet larva. And some bottles of tequila have a little worm in it, but they dry it, mix it with a little salt and chile, and make a sal de gusano. So I have some sal de gusano here that I got in Oaxaca, and then I also have a very fancy sal de gusano that's so beautifully packaged. This was a gift, and this is also from Oaxaca. But this is typically how mezcal is served, with some orange slices. And if you order a caballito of tequila, it's typically served with something called sangrita, which you can't really see. You can kind of see that it's red. I unfortunately don't have any clear little shot glasses. Not to be confused with sangria. Sangrita is equal amounts of pomegranate juice, lime juice, and orange juice, and a little bit of chile. So you take a little sip of tequila and you take a little sip of your sangrita. And this is typically how both of these things are served. And sometimes I've seen sangrita with tomato juice, but I think the pomegranate juice is really nice because it brightens it up. And then we have sotol, which is a little bit lesser known, I think, than the other tequilas. So this is Oaxaca tequila, specifically from Jalisco. And sotol is produced in northern Mexico. So Chihuahua, Durango, and Coahuila are the 3 states that produce it. It's also produced in New Mexico and in Texas, and in South Texas. So this is, and it's actually made from a plant. It's made in the same process that mezcal is made, but the plant itself, it doesn't have these sort of thick leaves like the agave plants do, both the blue agave and then actually there's about 200 different types of agave that you can make mezcal with. The sotol plant is actually called a desert spoon, is what it's called, and it has these sort of long leaves that are really, really spiky to protect it from rodents. And it's actually not in the family of the agave, but it's in the family of the asparagus. It's a member of the asparagus family. But it's produced, yeah, sorry?
I'm sorry, what does sotol taste like?
Sotol is interesting. It's produced in the same way, but it is not smoky like mezcal. It's a little bit more similar in flavor to tequila, but it's grassy. It's greener. So it tastes like I don't know. I want to say tequila salad, but it's not really tequila salad. It tastes a little bit just fresher and greener than tequila.
Was it easy to find sotol here in LA?
You know, this bottle was a gift. I had a 4th of July party like 2 years ago, and my cousin brought this over, but he did buy it here in LA. I'm not sure where he got it, but I think that you can find it. I don't think it's as available really as mezcal or tequila, which you could find anywhere, but I think it's becoming much more popular now in the US. It was banned for centuries, and I think it's because the producers of mezcal and tequila were like, what are these people in northern Mexico, you know, doing? It became a drink of drunks and peasants, but it was actually quite popular in the 1920s and 30s during Prohibition. Al Capone is said to have smuggled thousands of liters of sotol across the border to enjoy. But this ban of producing sotol was only lifted in the 1990s in Mexico. So it's a very small batch product.
We have some of our viewers, I'm sorry to interrupt that. I wonder if our viewers told us, gives a heads up in case you want to know, a local favorite, Ramirez Liquor on the east side, but also Happy Corner liquor store in West LA. You might be able to find. I know for sure at Ramirez Liquor, they have lots of Mexican liqueurs and things like that. So that was suggested for us to get our sotol there, and also at Happy Corner Liquor in West LA.
That's great. Thank you for that. Thank you for that information, because I'm running low. So I need to, now I know, I need a screenshot of this, or maybe, yeah, please let me know. But this is really good. So it's essentially and it's produced a lot also in Texas, in central Texas, in the hill country. It comes from a really hot, dry climates. So they each have their own thing going. They each have their different flavor, but you could certainly make both the Margarita and the Paloma beverage that we're going to be making with any of these three. It just will have a slightly different flavor profile.
Which one are you going to do first for us?
I'm going to make a Margarita first. I love Margaritas. They are, I think they might be my favorite cocktail. So let me just get this stuff out of the way. And Margaritas also, I just mentioned Prohibition. And Margaritas are kind of interesting because they actually come from a cocktail that was very popular in the 19th century in the US called the Daisy. So the 19th century American cocktails were typically made with gin, whiskey, or brandy. That's it. And legend has it that somebody went to a bar in Tijuana during Prohibition and asked for a gin daisy, and they accidentally made it with tequila, and it became the Margarita. So the word Spanish word for daisy is Margarita. So this is sort of the legend of how it became. There are many legends. There's one, the socialite in Acapulco invented it and brought it, to Texas where she was from. But I think that the daisy it was a similar cocktail in the 19th century made with gin or whiskey that all of a sudden had tequila in it. So I'm going to just make a really kind of simple version. Actually, the recipe that I'm making, there's a restaurant in San Antonio, Texas called Ocho, which is actually a Cuban restaurant, but they make the best margaritas. And somehow I convinced them to share their recipe. So this is their recipe. I can't take full credit for this because this is from Ocho. So I'm going to make it in my margarita glass, my Chingona glass, which was a gift from a friend. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to rim the top with lime juice and just dip it in salt. So I'm just going to dip it in salt, and I'm going to just fill this with ice. I like super cold drinks. And that's it. I'm just going to set it aside for now while I prepare the cocktail. So what I'm going to do is add one and a half ounces of tequila. So I'm using this blanco tequila. And half an ounce of orange liqueur. So this is a triple sec. You could use Cointreau or Grand Marnier. Those are the kind of fancy versions of triple sec. This is triple sec, just regular. It's a similar thing. So half an ounce. Is that right? Yes. Half an ounce of triple sec. Is anybody making cocktails along with us today?
So far, everyone's enjoying the history, Maite, and that's what makes your program so special, because besides the beautiful cocktails and recipes you offer us, it's also the background, the history, and why is it that it's so important with the very beginnings of how it all began, the background history, which is really special.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I do. That's what I love to weave in the history, because it just, I think for me, definitely, but just gives a greater appreciation of all of these. Everything has a why, everything has a reason, and I think everything just tastes better once you hear these stories or learn these stories. So thank you. So I have tequila, orange liqueur, and I'm going to add, actually I'm going to add this next. So I'm going to do a 1/4 ounce of agave nectar. You can also do simple syrup. This is agave nectar that actually is a sugar that comes from the aguamiel, that comes from the agave. So I'm going to add a 1/4 ounce of this. And then I'm going to squeeze 3/4 ounce of lime juice. Does anybody have any questions while I squeeze limes?
They're just saying how they're inspired. They're making Jamaica margaritas.
Oh my gosh.
And some folks, even though they don't drink, they're very inspired by all the history that you're presenting with us right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh gosh, let's see what else other fun facts can I share. I love the idea of, I think I'm gonna, just Al Capone drinking sotol. Isn't that like in Chicago, like Al Capone drinking sotol, like smuggling sotol from Mexico and serving that in Chicago. I love that idea. And just the fact that, and it makes sense that it would have been banned because, tequila was such a big business. I mean, it is such a big business, but I think there's room for everybody, for everything. So I'm adding 3/4 ounces of lime juice, and that's it. Really, really simple. I'm going to add some ice to the glass. I'm going to shake it. So there's this difference between shaking versus stirring in cocktails. And basically, you shake. There's a cocktail book that was written in 1862 by a man named Jerry Thomas, and this is the first time that we see the daisy. And he also talks about the difference between stirring and shaking. So you shake a drink that has fruit juice or cream or egg whites because it just becomes very frothy, and you stir drinks that are all alcohol. So like a martini, or I don't know, just things that are pure alcohol are shaken. So this has fruit, or citrus. So I'm going to shake it. So shake it for about 30 seconds so it gets really, really, really cold. I'm just gonna shake it. You can see how I don't know if you could tell, but it's the shaker is really frosty. And now I'm just going to pour it in my glass. The frozen margaritas are also really popular, and we actually don't see the frozen margaritas until the 1970s. There was a restaurateur in Dallas that legend has it, he was in 7-Eleven and saw a slushie machine, and he was like, wait a minute. So he bought a soft serve machine and made the first frozen margarita. And that machine is actually in the Smithsonian. Salud.
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 I like mine shaken up in the shaker, because when it's shaken really good, you get little bits of ice crystals.
Yes, and that's also what it does. It not only brings little froth, but it has like these little shards of ice. That's and the ice is known as the soul of the cocktail, and that's definitely what shaking does. Yes. Cheers, everybody. Salud. Any questions about the margarita?
Everybody's just complimentary and all the background history, you know, to providing where the origins of all these alcohols and liqueurs are coming from.
Yeah, I find it so fascinating. I love the fact that the original frozen margarita machine is in the Smithsonian.
And they're loving your chingona glass, by the way.
You what?
They're loving your chingona glass, by the way.
I love this too. This was a gift from a friend. I thought, was it unprofessional to show my glass? But I said, no, I think it's fun. Yes, so cheers to all. I'm not sure where it's from, but I can find out if anybody wants to order one.
Yeah, so they're saying, salud, amor y dinero.
Cheers to that. It's good. So this is our just classic margarita, triple sec, tequila, lime, and a little sweetener. I used agave nectar. You can use simple syrup as well, which is just equal parts of sugar and water that are cooked, or not cooked, but just simmered until it just becomes liquid.
Oh, Maite, remember we went out and we had the most delicious spicy margaritas with serrano, jalapenos? Can you recreate what I think that could be to make our spicy margaritas here?
I know. Put those in the simple syrup. So I'm going to make a spicy Paloma, which is a grapefruit drink. And the origin for the Paloma we have no idea. Some people say that it was invented in the late 19th century, inspired by, a bartender. His favorite song was a song called Paloma, and so he named this drink that he loved. And some people say that it was invented in the 1950s, so nobody really knows. But the Paloma is typically grapefruit juice, with tequila. I'm actually going to make this one, I think, with mezcal, because I want to add a little bit. I'm going to rim the glass with, I like to rim it sometimes with tajin, but since I have this sal de gusano, I'm going to rim it with that and a little bit of salt as well. So I'm going to, so it's usually made with either grapefruit soda like Squirt or Jarritos. I'm going to make mine with just a fresh grapefruit. And I'm going to muddle some chile serrano in it. So it kind of has it has a kick to it. Not quite, Jimena, like the drink that we had that one time that I'm still chasing that drink because it was so good. And they're closed, I think, right?
I'm not sure the chef friend, but I'm going to bring him back, Luis Cardenas. He was the executive chef at the restaurant when you and I went, and we had those amazing margaritas.
Yes.
He's left, he's in Baja, but we're going to definitely bring him back. Maybe we can ask him for the secret when he gets back.
Yes, ask him for the secret recipe, just like I asked this Ocho in San Antonio. It's like, please share your recipe with me. Maybe he will. So I'm going to use for this one, I'm going to use fresh grapefruit. And this actually, when it was first marketed in the US, the Paloma, they sold it as a popular drink, the most popular drink in the Rio Grande. So South Texas, where the Rio Bravo, Rio Grande is, they produce a lot of grapefruits there. So they sold it as that, or a lot of citrus in general, but definitely a lot of grapefruit. So I'm going to use fresh grapefruit, and rather than using the Squirt or Jarritos, which is really sweet, I love sweet desserts, but I don't love sweet drinks. So I'm just going to use fresh grapefruit, and you can use grapefruit juice. I have a very generous neighbor with a wonderful grapefruit tree that always shares his grapefruits. And then I'm going to add grapefruit sparkling. It's just sparkling soda. So I'm going to top it off with some grapefruit sparkling soda. So, should I start muddling?
Yes, muddle away. We have two folks here calling in. They're saying the Raymond in Pasadena makes a cocktail with ginger. It's called Medicina Latina.
Oh, with ginger. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go. That sounds so good. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to just dump this. I'm going to just give it a super quick rinse. I'll be right back. Okay, so in the recipe that I sent to use half of a slice of grapefruit, which is not quite enough for 2 ounces because these are a little bit small. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut the ends off, and I'm gonna add the whole I'm not gonna, typically if I was muddling orange, I would keep the zest, but this is just so thick. I'm gonna maybe just add a little bit just of the of this part without the white. The white pith is just a little bit too bitter, and I don't want that bitterness in my drink. And you can certainly just use grapefruit juice. So I'm going to.
Oh, no, I know.
Actually, first of all, I'm going to rim my glass, and I'm going to use just an old-fashioned glass for this. I'm going to add a little bit of sal de gusano to my salt that I have over here, and put some lime on the rim, and just dip it and set this aside. And I want the sal de gusano, it has a little bit of chile in it, so it has a kick, which I like. And since I'm adding serrano to my drink, I want that kick to it.
Maite?
Yes?
We have a question from Helen. What tequila makers can you recommend and of good quality?
Oh, that's a good question. Tequila makers. So this is, this is actually, my brother is in the tequila business. This is his Tequila Rejón, which is actually quite good. You can't find it in LA. They have it in San Diego. I like Milagro Tequila is a good tequila, which I like. Oh gosh, Jimena, do you have any?
I like, my favorite's kind of high end, not so much to make margaritas with, just a sip, 1942.
Oh, that's a good one. Don Julio is also really great.
Don Julio, that is, yeah, any Don Julio is really good. The Silvo Reposado, but if you have a chance for 1942, it is quite a gift. It's over $100, but it's so smooth. It's like water. You do not want to mix it. It's definitely before dinner or a nice after dinner drink. Just a little bit goes a long way. It's very delicious.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like whenever I've taught programs at La Plaza, you'll often have bottles of tequila left over from previous programs, and they're always really good. But then I can never remember, what they are. Oh, somebody said hornitos. Hornitos is really good too. Herradura, yeah. There's so many good.
Yeah, Tres Generaciones. And also now there's so many local, like smaller brands that you can find, more so for mezcal, but also for tequila that's so popular now.
Yeah.
And it's also a tu gusto.
Right.
What I might think is delicious, but you may not think is delicious. So the main thing is to find that happiness and find something that satisfies your taste.
Yeah, exactly.
And your budget.
And your budget, yeah. So you just have to taste a lot of different ones and then figure out which, what you like. So I'm going to add the grapefruit that I just cut up. I'm going to add it to my glass. I'm going to add 2 sugar cubes. Actually, I probably should have put those in the bottom, but two sugar cubes. I'm going to add my little zest of lemon, and I'm going to add a couple of slices. I like super spicy. I'm going to add a few slices of chile, and then I'm just going to muddle it, which literally means just smush it. So I'm just gonna smash everything in there. And I could see, it basically, I don't know if you could hear that I'm squishing my, it's all in there. It's hard to see, but I'm squishing the sugar. I don't hear the sugar anymore. It's all squished with the lime, and I wish you were here because it smells like chile. It smells super spicy. So
I'm sorry, back to our margaritas. People are obsessed with the margaritas right now. Okay. What type of tequila do you recommend? The blanco, reposado, or añejo?
For the margaritas, I 100% recommend blanco. I think that I think that you just want like a clean flavor so that you could taste everything. I definitely prefer the blanco to any of the others for the tequila.
One of our viewers also commented as a alternative brand as well as Centenario Plata.
Okay, yeah, that's also like a nice white, like silver tequila, right? The Plata. Mm-hmm. That's good to know. I need to take notes. So I have my sugar cubes, my chile, my grapefruit juice. I'm gonna add 2 ounces of I'm not going to add mezcal just because I have a sal de gusano, just to stay in that family. So I'm going to add 2 ounces of mezcal, which is really smoky. So this is another ½ ounce. And I forgot my lime juice. I'm going to add 1 ounce of lime, which is about 1 lime. And then I'm just going to shake it. Any other questions about tequila or anything?
We're just doing their suggestions in regards to possibilities for tequila: Casa Dragones, Herradura, Hornitos, Acapulipto, Patron, Centenario. And it's great for folks who, they don't know, maybe there's just no Jose Cuervo, nothing wrong with Jose Cuervo, but there's also other alternatives to do
but
so.
I think that you don't have to go like Jose Cuervo. It's pretty, very inexpensive. I think you can, there are good tequilas at low prices. I think, yeah. So I'm gonna shake this. Shake. I want to get those little shards of glass. They used to have, not for margaritas, but in Louisiana, in the early 20th century, before Prohibition, this drink called the gin fizz, Ramos gin fizz, that has egg white and cream that needs to be shaken for 15 minutes. I cannot imagine. But they used to have shaker boys. So all their job was behind the bar was to shake the shaker boys. So that's it. I'm just squeezing. It's kind of getting a little bit stuck. There you go. It smells really spicy. So I'm just going to top it off with my grapefruit soda and give it a little fizz. And maybe garnish it with little chilito. Here's everybody. Salud.
Salud.
Salud. Oh, that's spicy. That's good. It's really spicy.
Folks are asking about the recipe. For those who signed up on Zoom, you, as a thank you for participating in our program, will be sending out the recipe and also all of our upcoming programs and membership information as well.
Excellent. Does anybody have any other questions?
Does tequila go bad?
I don't think so. No, I don't think any alcohol goes bad. Yeah, no, it does not go bad.
Didn't you make a tequila ice cream?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that while we savor our cocktails together.
Well, savor our cocktails. I do. I have a tequila ice cream on my website. If you go to my website, artbites.net, I have tons of different recipes. I'll post these recipes actually on there as well. And I did a tequila ice cream, which you don't need an ice cream maker for. I just put it in a baking dish, which is tequila, condensed milk, and heavy cream. And it is so delicious. It's like soft serve because alcohol, the alcohol doesn't really freeze. It requires a much lower freezing temperature than our regular home freezers have the capacity to do. So it's a soft serve ice cream, and it's so delicious. It's really, really delicious.
I have one more question. What was the rim on the Paloma that you used right now?
I used just kosher salt and sal de gusano. If you don't have sal de gusano, you can also use tajin, which is easily, available. And I wanted just something spicy because the paloma itself is spicy. So I wanted to, have that extra kick. Yeah. So anybody else? So I have, like I said, I have recipes on my website. I'll add these 2 recipes actually. I'll make sure to take a picture so that I could add them. I also have tons of classes. I'm back here October 26th for Dia de los Muertos. I'll be making something delicious for Dia de los Muertos. And I also have tons of classes, including this Thursday, I have a tapa, history of Spanish food. Always lots of history. And then we're making tapas. So lots of stuff. So it's always fun. And I appreciate that you like the history so much. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Any other comments or questions?
Well, thank you, Maite. We have a lot of people like different types of tequila and mezcal from Dora Herrera. She loves La Locura, small batch and delicious, plus the double entendre is genius. So that's, from our friend Dora from Yucas.
Okay.
We a recipe here for, I just add, from Marta Segura, I just added tequila zapopan to my mango frozen smoothie made with soy milk. Now the rest of my day is going to be so chill. I can only imagine. I can only imagine because I'm still on the clock. I'm ready.
Everybody's day is going to be like, whatever happens, happens.
I have to verify the recipe. That's why I have a sample. Make sure it's good quality for our lovely audience. Make sure.
Oh yeah, definitely quality control. Definitely.
Well, all of you that tuned in, maybe in mid-session or towards the end, or even if you want to rewatch it, please, you can go back to our Facebook page. We archive all of our sessions on Facebook. You could also catch them on laplazala.org, our website, and on YouTube at La Plaza LA. Our all 50 plus sessions that we've had since the end of March. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying our En Casa sessions, please join us as a member. Our members make these programs possible, and I'm putting down our link so you could look into becoming a member or even just making a small donation. I know times are tough for most everybody, but whatever, if you can spare a little, please help us out. Thank you so much. Also, our sponsors are SoCal Gas and the California Humanities and the National Endowment for the Humanities as part of the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, Stabilization Plan of 2020. Upcoming sessions. We have this Wednesday, a real great singer, Gaby Moreno, a singular voice of Latin soul, will be in conversation and presentation with Beto Arcos. This is Beto's third foray in Casa, and he always brings us the best of Latino music. On Friday, do you want to talk to us a little bit about what's going to happen Friday, Jimena?
Friday, yes. Not this Sunday, the Sunday before that, there was an amazing article of this group of folks who are called los aparecidos. They look for their children. So basically, to keep these group of mom and dads together, they came together and created a cookbook. And this cookbook is a collection of their lost children's favorite recipes. So to help out this nonprofit, they're going to come and talk to us about their process. We're going to have one of the moms whose child is lost. And during the time of COVID, they've been working independently from home, but every so often they get together and they actually go out to the desert and dig and try to find their lost children. So it's a very special cause. If you get a chance, we'll put out their email so you can order their cookbook. I ordered 2 to help support these moms as they look for their children. So a very touchy, heartfelt conversation to be had, but those are our community and how we can help them out, listen to the story, at the same time be able to receive a recipe that reminds them of their lost child. So we'll see you guys Friday at 5.
Thank you, Jimena. Yes, that's on Friday at 5. So that's the second En Casa con la Plaza Cocina session at 5 o'clock, a special time, because they're zooming in from Mexico. And the name of the program is Recetario para la Memoria. So you could make your register. You could register on Zoom. Go to our Facebook page, click on registration. It'll take you to our Zoom page, or you could watch it on Facebook Live like you're watching this, if you are. And then next Monday, we have the chef, the James Beard Award-winning chef. So many honors, so many great stories that he could tell us. Mr. John Rivera Sedler, who will be demonstrating New Mexico hashed green chili rellenos. Yeah. Well, thank you so much to everybody. Thank you, Maite. Thank you, Jimena. Any last words?
Thank you
so
very
much.
All right, look straight at the camera, please. I'm going to do a screenshot. 1, 2, y 3. All right, thank you. Gracias a todos. Nos vemos pronto. We'll see you on En Casa con la Plaza. Please be safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.